Here I answer, I guess, questions about drones. Any questions you may have, you put them in the chat. And Jason is in the back room back there in the office going through all those questions and then filtering the comments from the questions. And then he gives me those questions here and then I answer them. That's really how simple this is. All right. We have also Amy and Ben behind the camera over there trying to make sure everything is good, giving me a countdown. Thank you. We don't always get countdowns around here, but lately we have. So it's been good. All right, let's say hi to a bunch of people. We have Thorol Inspired, Minot from Engineer Drone Services. We have Curtis Warren, James Cox. We have Hike and Fly, Richard Hooker, Eric Reifschneider, Travis Cheney, JJ Burkhart, Scott Jordan, Montana Visuals, VP in two. That's cool. Two different words. Scott, After His Media, Lawrence Talbert. We have Just Johnny 2012, Mountain Man, Louisiana Helicam, Alexander Blankenship, JS 883, Fallout Steve. We have Bob Rock. Let's see. Ron Jenke. We have Mark Saxon, Lead Magnet, Tom Gomez, Chica Champon, Anoke Boomer, Dave DeVore. You are done for Ben. You are done for today. Who else? Gordon Jenkins, Cloud Camper, AFW AZ, Louisiana Helicam, Bob Casey Ariel says the countdown is too long. Let's go. And here we are. JJ Ariel, Tom Radna, Mark Butel. Who else? Ed is here. Rutledge, longtime follower. Paul Emus, Otto J, Joe is here. Nicholas, Jim. Holy crap, a lot of people. Texas Drone Guy is here. We have, let's see who else. Thomas, Jay Guillermini, Ryan, Airfox Photography, SK, James Von Boeven, our good old friend James, who sent me some really cool pictures that he took at a balloon competition. I don't think it was a festival necessarily, competition. Really cool stuff that he did. He actually spent a lot of time going through the process of approval and being able to fly in that area with hot air balloons. It was really cool. Okay, well, that's it. Well, that's not it because we're gonna answer questions now. But yeah, it's been a heck of a day already. I don't know why I'm not feeling super great today, but we'll go through it. And it was rainy today. Got rain, which is rare. We have to mention when there is rain because it's pretty rare for us. So it's a noticeable event. Let's put it this way. Somebody says volume on Greg's mic is pretty low compared to the leading music. So there's that. Okay. Travis says Columbus, Ohio is doing a drone show this Thursday before the fireworks, before the red, right, and boom. How much does this cost to put on every year if you had to guess? Ooh, I have no idea because I think there's a lot of factors. How many drones, right? The time of year. Obviously, the 4th of July is going to be probably a premium because of the fact that it's on a busy day. So I don't know. It's in the tens of thousands of dollars, no doubt, but I couldn't tell you if it's 20,000 or if it's 80,000. It depends on the company putting it on as well, I'm guessing. So I don't know. VP says, hello from Florida. Was wondering, can helos see our remote IDs while they're flying? I live about 15 miles from a base. Every so often, I feel they fly a lot lower over my house. They do not. A remote ID signal is not something that manned aircraft are picking up. It's a weird technology that would, and also keep in mind that when helicopters fly at low altitude, the workload to do that is pretty high. So it means that they don't have time to be looking at remote ID signals. The fact that they fly close to your house, I'm sure, is purely random for that matter. JSA83 says no more DJI drones in the US. They are difficult to find at the moment, for sure, no doubt. I don't think it means that we'll never see them again, but at the moment, there's definitely a difficulty in getting those. What advice would you have for reducing lens flare on Mini 4 Pro? I already have a CPL filter and a gimbal shade, but was wondering about additional option. Gimbal shade is really the only thing that you can do. CPL actually doesn't remove the lens flare. So the lens flare happens because the light hits your lens at a certain angle, and then it kind of bounces inside of the gimbal, the lens housing. There's a bunch of lenses put together, and the light kind of reflects inside of the lens housing. Only way to do it is putting a gimbal shade, in front of it, and then to just turn a little bit of an angle so that the light doesn't hit the lens at that specific angle. Next up, Fallout DJ Steve says, what is the latest information on DJI availability in the US? Confirmed info, reliable sources info, rumor info. There's not any information that I have seen publicly or that I can share yet. So, yeah. At the moment, DJI drones are not available in the United States. Let's put it this way. Or very difficult to find them other than the used market. So if you have a used drone, it's highly coveted. Let's put it this way. FAA regulation applies to a person that flies on Native American tribal property. Do they own the airspace above that land that they own? So the FAA regulation is airspace regulation, which means that it applies all over the United States, including tribal property. But with that said, tribal land has land restrictions that you need to follow. So before you can, excuse me, I had a bag of mixed nuts right before doing this, and I will never do that again. Terrible idea. I needed a quick snack, and then now I'm going to die by... Anyway. Okay. The tribes do own the land, and as a result, operation to and from that land. So make sure that you request permission if you're going to fly in a on a reservation. Okay. A couple of weeks ago, this is from AFWAZ. I asked here how you could have received remote ID signal from 20 miles away. The UKCA has just proposed remote ID using network as well as direct means. Is that here now? No. So network remote ID is a different concept that requires the device to connect to the cloud, sends that information to the cloud, and then the signal goes from the cloud to wherever it needs to go. That requires additional equipment. Our remote ID is much simpler than that by design because there was a lot of pushback against network remote ID, which would require to have a some sort of a SIM card on board of your remote ID, either on board of your drone or on board of your remote ID module. Sorry. But yeah, no network remote ID at the moment in the United States. I'm saying at the moment because I fully believe that once we see Part 108, there's a possibility that we will also see the return of network remote ID as an idea. Okay. Mark Butel says, please explain the fair market value concept. I understand the $500 minus the value of the drone. I don't know. I don't think I understand the question. Where did you see the fair market value concept? I guess is my question, Mark. Looking to buy Pilot Institute for my Part 107 journey. What can I expect from the course? AutoJ, the course is designed to help you not just pass the test, but to go far beyond that. We train to proficiency rather than just getting a grade on the exam. And so you can expect to get the most in-depth training that you can find at the moment out there. It's 15 hours of content, and it goes over not only the things that you need for the test, but the things that you need to know to be a safe operator, outside the test. The test is just an hour of your training. The rest of the training is to make sure that you're the safest pilot you can be. So, yeah, that's what has made our course very popular. We've trained more people than anybody else in the country. I think we're at 115,000 people trained now, and yeah, it's a good value. Let's put it this way. And you get lifetime access, and if you fail, we will give you your money back and pay for your retake as well. Airfox Photography says, what is the best simulator for kids for summer school? Ooh, that's a good question. It depends. So if you have a DJI drone, I would use the DJI simulator that comes, on mobile devices. And I think that's the best way to do it. There is other ones. Maybe Jason can share in the chat the link that we have to the best simulators, because they're all different. They all have slightly different purposes. So it depends on what type of drone you want to fly. It depends on what type of drone you're trying to simulate. Let's put it this way. But yeah, we wrote an article specifically for that. Do you think the custom labor law card that Congress is playing will go through with DJI products? I mean, the customs thing is what is blocking DJI at the moment in the United States. So I don't know that they need to do much more to block those DJI drones at the border. That's exactly what's happening. So we'll see where that goes going forward. Stinker337 says, if DJI were ever banned, do you know if parts and accessories would still be available for purchase? I mean, DJI does not really sell parts and accessories. Well, they sell accessories. I don't think they sell parts necessarily, other than for the FPV, I think, for DJI FPV. So I'm sure the accessories would be in the same. Well, okay, let's backtrack a little bit. There are different types of bans that are being proposed. The ones that we've seen are bans based on FCC approval, which means that anything that DJI makes that does not have parts in it that require FCC approval means they could still sell it. With that said, other than the battery pack, I think that might be the only device that they sell that is not FCC approved, because it doesn't use the airwaves. So JJ Ariel in photography says, I was wondering, when I get my commercial drone pilot certificate, can I fly property missions on her land for hire? I don't know that I answered the question. That I can answer the question. Can you maybe rephrase? I don't think I can. I don't think I understand the question. Bill says, if my Mini 4 Pro happens to encounter an obstacle when RTH is initiated, what will collision avoidance do? Does the drone just stop? Oh, so I can tell you one thing. As standardized as DJI is on so many things, RTH behavior is not one of them. Pretty much every drone that we ever review all the time has a different behavior on RTH. I do not remember from the top of my head what the Mini 4 Pro does, if it uses collision avoidance or not during RTH. So a little bit more research can be done, but I'm sure you can find the information online. But some drones use collision avoidance and some of them don't. So Gabriel says, also, I will add to this, there's different types of behavior. I don't think the Mini 4 Pro has that, but some of the newer models have different options that you can select as far as the behavior for the drone to use, like a smart path, for example, to come back, as opposed to going to a predetermined altitude and then flying straight back. Did you find the info?
Like the Air 3S, it has that smart, where it will navigate.
Yeah, but I don't think the Mini 4 Pro has that.
I'm not.
I think sure. it was too early. I think DJI introduced it with the Air 3S. So Gabriel says, is the RC2 Pro worth it for the Mavic 4 Pro, or is the RC2 enough? I have not had enough time on the RC2 Pro. We do have a Mavic 4 Pro right now that we are making content with, but I haven't played with it because we get it on Friday. So maybe next week we can answer that question. I think Jason got to fly it a little bit this weekend, but I have not. Vision from Above said, is it okay to fly my drone at the fireworks show if I'm at a safe distance? Yes, if you're at a safe distance, I would say that's fine. Obviously, keep in mind, no flying over people, no flying over people in moving vehicles. So just, yep. Tracy says, any regulation or info to help if I want to strap firework to my drone and do fireworks shows professionally? I see it done in China and other places, and it would be great if we could do it safely. You will need approval from the FAA in order to do this, but I don't know where you get approval to do that because it's send us an email, Tracy, because I have to look up and research the regulation on that one. But I know there is approval needed, but we can figure out where to get.
Does it require a waiver or something, Greg?
A waiver? It's not a waiver. Well, it would be some sort of a waiver because of one piece of regulation in Part 107, but I don't remember the number of the regulation. So
I know a lot of drone shows do it, but I know they have certain
drone shows do it because they have approval to do it. So it would have to be a waiver, but it's not one of the waiverable regulation if I remember correctly. So it would have to be beyond a waiver. Again, I have to research a little bit more to give a better educated answer. If DJI is harder to find now, where can I find a crop spraying drone? There are a few drones that do crop spraying that are made outside of DJI. I don't remember the brand names, but they're definitely available. I know that. Scott says, what am I missing about cells or bands on why you can't buy a DJI drone? I guess I was in a box. Yeah, well, the problem is that Custom Border Patrol, CBP, is preventing drones from coming into the United States. And so it's a border block right now. They're claiming, got to choose my words wisely. They're claiming that the drones are being made with forced labor, and they're citing a piece of regulation that DJI is allegedly breaking, and we've been told that DJI has submitted plenty of paperwork to prove that they were not, and CBP has refused to lift the enforcement. And so I don't know where this goes from here, but that's kind of where we are. So as a result, the stock of DJI drones has kind of shrunk in the United States to the point where DJI no longer can sell them on the website, and other resellers can get their hands on them. Okay, where are we at? What do you think about a fleet of law enforcement drones doing a V formation for a football game and carrying red, white, and blue smoke flares for a football game? Okay, any recommendation for this on the regulation? It's all about how those smoke flares are going to be classified as far as pyrotechnics or other things. So again, I need to do more research on that. There's a park near me between two sides of a highway. Okay, feel like a large median. As long as I'm not over the road or anyone there, flying my drone shouldn't be a problem, just not 100% sure. So the rule is you cannot fly over people or people inside of moving vehicles. So as long as you're not doing any of that, then you're good to go. And of course, visual line of sight and all the other rules on top of it. But yeah, that one specifically. What is your go-to favorite drone? I'm going to have to say the Air 3S. I think that's a no-brainer. I've said this from the day that it came out, from the day that we get our hands on one, that I think it's the best value for the money. If you can find one, obviously, now because of all the shenanigans. But I think for the price, for the features that you get, for the flight time, for the camera, for the image quality, for everything, it's just the best drone that's out there. And there are more expensive drones. You know, a Mavic 3 is a great platform, but portability, obviously, you know, if it's a go-to drone, I like the portability of the Air 3S, and it just works. Actually, we were having this conversation with Ken from Original Dobo, who was here last week, and he says that he still uses his Air 3S more than any other drone. So, were you able to fly in a storm with the approval you were given? Yes, we have. I think I've mentioned this before, and I think maybe that's what Brian is talking about. But we do have a waiver to fly inside of a convective sigmet. Let's put it this way. So, a convective sigmet is a notice that is put out to pilots when there is convective activity, think thunderstorms. And so if there is a convective sigmet in place, we are allowed to fly inside of a convective sigmet with up to, it's either 2,000 feet or 3,000 feet, I don't remember. But yeah, we can fly pretty high up inside of a thunderstorm, which is pretty cool. And with monsoon season starting here and thunderstorm season starting here, we will be working on that for sure and trying to get some pictures. I recently lost my Mini 3 Pro in a flyaway after it gets struck by lightning. Holy crap. Is it worth paying for flyaway coverage or waiting for this? Yeah, I mean, I would give that a shot for sure, but I think flyaway coverage, I didn't know that was an option from DJI, but if you have that, then I would definitely do that. 2,500 feet AGL is how high we can fly. Is there advantages to using Aloft over the Lance app? I see where I can connect to Aloft with my drone. I have not yet. Yeah, Aloft has a few additional features. The Lance, I mean, when you say the Lance app, the Aloft is a Lance app. The FAA doesn't have an official app. They're letting other people create apps that have Lance capabilities. So to me, Aloft is the best app available out there to do Lance approval. And the other option that you have is going to the drone zone to request airspace authorizations, but it's quicker typically to just do it in Aloft. Whew, next. If I sell my Mini 3 Pro, what is the best way to zero out the drone and the controller, and how to remove the FAA registration? So there's a way to reset the drone, you know, do like kind of a factory reset. I don't remember the specific term, but it's either erase all or factory reset or something like that. That's what I would definitely do. And then make sure that when you turn it back on, it looks like it's a brand new drone. As far as the FAA, you can go on the FAA website, on the FAA Drone Zone, log in, go to your account, and then depending on how you registered it, if you registered recreationally, you'd have to go to your inventory and remove the drone. Then it's no longer registered. If you did it under Part 107, you'd have to find a specific drone entry, and then I think it's called cancel. You don't delete it, you just cancel it, and then it gets canceled, and it stays on your list as canceled. Make sure you do that before you sell the drone, and then remove the Pilot Institute registration sticker that you have on there, hopefully. All right, I see Ray Kelly's in the house. Welcome, Ray. We have Paul Emus says, it's not okay to fly over people, but I thought you could transit over people getting to a shooting site. You cannot. So that's a big misconception that unfortunately a few people online have been putting out. You cannot fly over people and or people in moving vehicles, even as a transit, unless you have a categorized drone. Okay, you have to have a categorized drone, which are rare, I need to add. There's very few of them, category 1, 2, 3, or 4. And if you don't know what those are, look for a video that we've made about how to fly over people. Have you heard anything regarding the DJI E and D filters? Yeah, we just had a discussion with Ken. He has the filter. It's not ready for Prime yet. So it's, well, we'll see if it becomes available to the public. The problem with it is that it's heavy, I think, is the problem. And it makes the gimbal behave in ways that it's not supposed to behave. And maybe I've said too much. Have I said too much? Yes. Okay. I'm being told yes. Can we bleep all that? Okay. Never mind. We'll see. But it's all rumors. Shit. Okay. Next. Do you know if Care Refresh is working with the border ban? I crashed my Air 3S today. It seems okay, but the camera did take a bump and got scratched. If I do need to send it in, will that work? I think it's been not working well lately, so I would, unless if it's just a scratch on the outside of the camera, I would not do anything. If the drone doesn't work, then yeah. But
I have seen a couple people online on Facebook say that they did have some success.
Okay.
But they also sounds like they sent it to a location here in the
States.
In
the States, yeah. It depends on where.
To Texas and came back. That's one of the recent comments I saw.
Yeah.
But I would be pretty cautious.
It depends on where it gets sent. If it gets sent outside the U.S. for repair, which DJI should be able to tell you, but if it gets sent in the U.S., then you'll be fine. It's as long as it doesn't travel outside the U.S. Brian says, do you know if... Oh, no, I just said that. Next. Any upside to American drones yet? Any encouragement of future U.S. drone companies? I mean, unfortunately, it depends on which market you are. But if you're in the market for a replacement for your Mini, your Air, or your Mavic, there's just no... And it's not like there's a bad option. There's just no options available coming from the American drone market. So, some people, if you can call them that, said that eventually there will be someone. But if we're talking about not having DJI drone today or in 6 months, they're not going to ramp up production in 6 months or come up with a design and do all this. This should have been done years ago. If you're in public safety, there are options. They're 4 to 10 times the price. If you're in public safety for specific tasks, there's no equivalent drone available. And so, yeah, the pickings are slim, unfortunately. Any encouragement? I don't know. I have not seen an American company yet come out and said that they are excited to take over the consumer market. We used to have some. We used to have Parrot, which is not American, but it's not Chinese. Parrot exited the consumer market. Even Autel exited the market for consumer. But Autel is a Chinese company, which is going to be on the same level as DJI. And then Skydio obviously exited the consumer market several years ago now to focus on public safety and military. So, no, I have not seen anything out there that gives me even hope that there will be. And yeah, and even if there was, there is a big gap that needs to be filled before we can get there. There's production capabilities that we don't have. So, yeah, a ban between the current ban, if you want to call it that we have on DJI is basically preventing anybody from starting this hobby today or upgrading their drone if it breaks or if they want a new one in the future. So you can say a big thank you to the folks at AUVSI for, can we bleep? For fucking this up for the rest of us. Too late. Oh, we didn't bleep. Too bad. Yeah. Anyways. Do you have any examples of Part 107 waivers? Examples of what you submitted for others to use as examples? Ooh, that's a lot of examples. I mean, we do. We every waiver is different for each person. Okay, so we have helped people in the past to submit their waivers. We do offer that as a service because, as you can imagine, it actually takes quite a bit of time to do that. So we are available to help. We are helping quite a few people as it is at the moment. But yeah, we can help. There is no regulation for flying FPV through a firework display. Is that correct? As long as you are using common sense and following the regulation and coordinate with the display company. Yeah, there's no regulation against it. You are correct. Just make sure you have a visual observer and make sure that you don't. I would not fly through the display because there's still a chance that your drone gets hit, in which case it could catch on fire because it's a fire torpedo going up in the sky that might hit a battery, which is flammable. But yeah, wait, Ken is in the chat? I know. Did I hear Greg just drop the F bomb? Yes, I did. I spent 2 days with Ken last week, so there had to be bad repercussions.
I missed the bleep by like this
Oh
much.
yeah, we missed it by this much. Yeah,
just by that much. It's really close.
It's okay.
We have been recording some stuff with Ken.
It was about AUVSI. They deserve it. So
okay.
But yeah, Ken's in the chat. Look at that. Ken did his evaluation of the new building. He even has a video. I think he's posted some videos, but I think it might have been on his personal page. But yeah, there will be a video coming out on his channel of a tour of the new facility.
Yes, we do have to get a thumbnail to him. I do have those pictures. They'll be uploaded tonight.
Okay. Can they hear you when you talk over there? Okay, good. But they can't see you. And that's a good thing. Okay. Somebody says, I love it because Greg is real. I am real. The background is not real, but I am real. Just kidding. The background is real. Well, sometimes. Most of the times. But this one is real.
When we can't get the lava lamp on in time,
yeah,
that's not
real. When the lava lamp is only half awake, you know that that would be funny though if you did a fake background and then you added like an item that doesn't work in the background to get people confused. But no, this one is a real background. Okay. All right. Jeb says, I've gotten the registration stickers from you before, but get a new drone. Is there any way to get a new sticker? Yes, email us, and then with the information. We don't allow for more than one submission on the website because of bots, but you can email us and we'll send you new ones. What do you think of the drone clone experts and their product line of drones? Never heard of it. So we can take a look, but I have not heard of them. Montana Visual says, in your experience, do you have any advice for navigating and flying in densely populated area requiring lens approval? Tell me more about what you want to do. Tell me more about what you want to do, I guess, is the question. What are you trying to do for a mission? Are you trying to avoid flying over people, over vehicles? What's kind of the goal? What drone? Jeb, another question from Jeb. Have you guys gotten to play around with the Mavic 4 much? If so, have you noticed it being slightly less stable than the Mavic 3 Pro? I've had both, and the Mavic 4 feels more jittery, and I'm curious about your thoughts. Yes, that's actually one of the comments that we discussed with Ken. So Ken brought us his Mavic 4, and he left it with us. Thank you, Ken, for doing some flying and some review, because we haven't had a chance to get one. And Jason flew it this weekend, and that was his first comment. He said it's a bit, I don't know if jittery is the word that he used. Like not as responsive, a bit more, but it looks like a fat drone. I hate to say it, but that drone looks chubby. It just looks chunky, you know. It's not as nimble as the Mavic 3 Pro. Looking, I haven't flown it yet, but that was the feedback from both Ken and from Jason. So interesting. Lawrence says, are you able to register a drone with the FAA for commercial and residential use? So the term that you want to use is recreational. Recreational and non-recreational. So if you register the drone and you plan on flying it under Part 107, the commercial side, then it would be valid to fly recreationally as well. So if you do only one registration, do it on the commercial side. Well, I mean, you should only do one registration. Do it on the commercial side, and it will satisfy both sides. And by the way, this is an interesting thing that that is sometimes hard for people to grasp because of when they're new to this hobby. Part 107 rules is the main set of rules that you can follow to fly your drone. Okay. The FAA carved out a little exemption from there for recreational pilots. When you fly under Part 107, and that carve out is designed for people that fly only solely for recreational purposes. Okay. Under Part 107 rules, the FAA doesn't say that you have to fly for non-recreational purposes. The FAA just says Part 107 is the set of rules to fly your drone, period. Which means that you can fly your drone commercially, non-commercially, for fun, for whatever you want under Part 107. Part 107 doesn't have to be activities that are just commercial. An example, I go to the park with my kids and I have them fly the drone. I'm flying under Part 107 with them, okay? I don't ever fly under the recreational rules. It's just a different set of rules which requires different things, different to follow different set of rules, and I don't want to do that, so I just do it under Part 107. So I hope that helps. Whoiscan is what is his channel? Original Dobo is his channel. I saw Jason left a link in there, and he's quite entertaining. If you don't mind, don't watch it around kids.
Oh, dang. His content that he made with us is PG.
But his content is PG. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Ken is just original. He likes to say things the way that they are, which is always welcome. But we did content with him. He can also be professional. So we did content with him that is going into the premium community, which is exciting, about how to do better at real estate photography and videography specifically. So
social media and working with agents.
And that's what Ken does for a living. He's a real estate specialist. What is the word that we used? It was
photographer or videographer.
No, it's a 3-letter identifier. Anyways.
Oh, what is it? REMs? Real estate?
No, REM is.
It's close to that.
Okay. Jacob says, I'm flying my drone recreationally under 400 feet AGL. Awesome. And I see some airplane flying in my direction. Do I need to stop or just move it and let them leave the area so I don't interfere? Yes, you should always give way to manned aircraft that are flying in the area. So, yep, they have higher priority than you do when it comes to flying. So. Reps. Real estate something, but yeah, I think it's reps or close to it. Maybe Ken can tell us, or maybe Ken just showed up and left a comment thinking that he's like, hey, I was here, and then he left. Okay. The other side says, what's the best certification to get for a company like protection or safety? I don't think I understand the question. Maybe can you rephrase? RW says, is there a rule or law against flying a drone for photo or video taking purpose at NAR model rocket launches as long as you're using common sense? I would talk to the people that are flying there and just let them know what you want to do and make sure that they're comfortable with it. But yeah, that's what it is. Any update on the DA42 course? I think we are in the making the animations. Is that right? Yeah. Which have not started yet. So it's going to be a while. Unfortunately, we have a pretty backed up schedule right now, and we are waiting to make room in the schedule for animations. So it's going to be a little longer, unfortunately. How often is recurrent training testing required for Part 107 pilots? That would be every 2 years. You need to do recurrent training. It's free. You can do it online from the comfort of your home, unlike the original test. And you can't really fail it. So it's done with the FAA on the FAA website, and that's it. Logan says, who messed it up and how did they cause this headache for everyone in the industry? I mentioned their name before, along with the F word. And their lobbying bodies. Yeah, that's who did it. And a person called Elise Stefanik, who is I don't know, I think she's a representative in New York. I think she's a representative. She's not a senator. A representative in New York who apparently doesn't like DJI, or was told that she needed to do that. Next, can you organize a petition to oppose the current Custom and Border Protection impounding of DJI drones? The best way to do this, I don't believe, is a petition. I think I'll survive. Maybe. We'll see. If I fall down, just kick me a couple of times. And keep the cameras. And then stop my Garmin. I don't believe a petition is the way to do it. I believe talking to your representative is the way to do it. You know, there are millions of users out there, recreational users, small drone service providers that need to contact their representative. That's what we pay them for, right? That's why we elect them, is to represent you with the government. And don't think that it doesn't work. Okay, I get that a lot, and I know I know people don't always trust politicians, rightfully so, and I'm on that board as well quite a bit, but it works. Okay, and I'll give you an example just recently, and it doesn't have to do with drones necessarily, but there was this bill that was proposed by Mike Lee, a guy who we've talked about before from Utah, who has been trying to destroy this industry by different ways. But he proposed this bill of selling all the land, from a lot of land, hundreds of thousands of acres of land, and people were vocal about it. And I'm sure you've probably heard about this. It was National Forest land and it was BLM land, especially if you lived out west, like us in Arizona, California, Utah even. You would have been affected. And so people were vocal about it. And guess what? The bill got pulled, and Mike Lee is coming back with an amended bill, which I think is also probably going to get pulled because it's still not great, but it's a lot better than what it was. But with that said, my point here is that it works. If enough people go and talk and get together to do this, I think that's our way to get out of this. So the downside is that there's no bill attached to this. This is something that is happening right now without a bill, without really much of anything except CBP saying that this needs to happen. And so, yeah, you need to talk to your representative and say, you know, my DJI is blocking CBP. What is going on? Or you tell them, you know, what is going on, and then ask them to make a change. Okay. Whew. Who's bankrolling it? People that have. Who's bankrolling it is people that will have an advantage if DJI is no longer in the picture. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. Do you have a recommendation for UAS insurance, given the situation with DJI Care Refresh not being available in the US with the Mavic 4 Pro? Also, thanks for answering my question. So, insurance, yeah, there's a bunch of them out there. We don't usually recommend any of them because it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're part of the premium community, we just did a big segment on insurance and how to pick an insurance and all the different options that are available out there. But yeah, I would say shop around. You know, go take a look at. It depends if you want something weekly, monthly, if you want just whole insurance, if you want liability insurance as well. And you might get quoted different things. So it's always good to shop around. So, yep, that's what I'm going to say. For DJI Mini 3, will any larger battery activate the remote ID in the drone, or does it have to be a DJI battery? I do not know the answer to that, actually. I do not know the answer to that. Maybe somebody has tried it, but we have not tried it, and I have not heard the answer before. Oh, look at you. Yeah, let's do it. The rum. All right, thank you, Ben. And you put it in a non-transparent bottle so nobody knows if I'm lying or not. Not just kidding. Oh, the seltzer water that you brought me and that you're drinking. Okay. Will I? Okay. Next question. Did I answer that last question? Yes, sort of. If I buy a drop system for my drone, can I use it recreationally? Yep. No restriction on that. I fly my Mini 4 Pro recreationally and I use Lance because I sometimes fly at an AMA site which is located in Class B airspace and I get approval to fly to 100 feet AGL and I was amazed how easy it was. Yep. Lance, man, the life before Lance. If you've never flown before Lance, you don't know how easy you have it. I remember when I first started flying, when Lance first, well, before Lance became a thing, because when Part 107 first came out, Lance was not a thing. So you had to submit everything through the FAA Drone Zone. And I remember waiting 6 months for approval to fly in the Prescott airspace. 6 months. And then eventually, Lance became a thing. And I was like, holy crap, you can tell me within seconds I can get approval. So yeah, Lance is one of those good things. We have people coming to visit from other countries that mention how good Lance is because they don't have that in their country. July 4th TFR, are they in place for all fireworks shows? Can you comment on the border and how to manage going inside if it's important? Best way to shoot video during. TFRs are going to be specific to the site. They're not just because there's a firework, there's a TFR. You can go to tfr.faa.gov and see the actual restriction. I'm going to say one thing. Just be careful. Again, it's a fireball coming from the ground shooting into the sky that explodes, right? Drones flying in the middle of that is not a good idea. And imagine if everybody that goes and sees this just pulls out their drone and flies inside a firework. No, I know that that's not what you're asking. You're not asking to fly inside the firework, but if there were a border for the TFR, if there were a TFR in place, you would be able to find on the FAA website the details of that TFR, and it would tell you how big the radius actually is, and then you would be able to figure out, if you can stay in or out of it. So there's that. But yeah, tfr.fa.gov. Next, Jamie's question says, what do you think about buying a used DJI Smart Controller through China on eBay? They are going for $348. If it's just a smart controller, I don't know that it would be an issue, but I hate to tell you that, and then you get it, and then it gets stuck through customs. But it's not a drone, so I don't even know how CBP would know what it is. It's not a drone, so I don't know. I don't even know how they know in the first place that it's a DJI drone. But what would be the best thing to mention specifically to our representative to help out? Jeb, if you are in a situation where your drone is stuck at customs, then I would explain the whole situation. I bought a drone. It is not prohibited to purchase. It's not a bomb. Well, don't say it's not a bomb, but it's not. And it's stuck in customs. I want to know what is going on, and I'm being told that this is what's blah blah blah. Explain the whole situation. Representatives are here to help you with your problem. That's their job, right? So you can say that there is a CBP block and you want it to be lifted because it affects your life, your ability to make money and all of these things. RP says remote ID, please explain the current rules. Okay. Remote ID is required for all drones that are flown under Part 107, regardless of weight, and they're required for all drones over 250 grams that are flown recreationally. Okay? So if you have a Mini, you fly recreationally, you don't need remote ID. Any other drone, you need remote ID. Let's put it this way. Okay? So whether it's any UAS, unmanned aircraft system, meaning a helicopter, RC helicopter, RC plane, or multi-rotor is going to need to have remote ID. And you can satisfy that requirement with two different ways, either by having a drone that has remote ID on board, it's called a standard remote ID drone, or by having a drone that has a module on top of it. The module is an additional device that you purchase for like $30 that you put on top of the drone that you turn on, and then it sends the remote ID signal, and then you're good to go. Okay. Tracy says, any good drone opportunity with the National Guards or Air National Guard? I've already contracted with local PD and would like to expand and continue protection of people. My guess is not with the National Guard, because that's at the national level. They're more than likely doing this internally. The local PD is much easier to deal with. I doubt they will hire an outside party to do that for them. By the way, some local police department will not let you do that unless you're deputized as well. If nothing has happened to us, can we still help? You can mention to your representative that this is something that is concerning, that will affect you in the future. So yeah, absolutely. Whew. 451. We are out of questions, at least for right now. I see another question from AutoJ. Do you have any tips for the Part 107 sectional chart, or do I need to purchase the FAA book from Amazon? I know it's going to sound... I'm selling a product, right? And this is what we do. This is our bread and butter, but I do not recommend self-studying for the Part 107. 1 in 3 people, 33% of people who study on their own for the FAA exam fail the exam, okay? The course is a fraction of, it's cheaper than the actual course, the actual written exam, and if you fail, we'll give you your money back, so you're not out any money. And you will learn more than just taking the test. We'll teach you everything around flying the drone safely. We'll teach you about regulation. We'll keep the course up to date. There are so many benefits to this thing that I just don't recommend it. But sectional charts, you got to know what you're looking for. You have to understand the different markings looking at the legend, and then you have to visualize it in 3D in your head from this 2D map. Again, we do this work for you for $150. We've done all the work. We've trained over 100,000 people to do this. Pass rate over 99.9%, average score of 92, which is 10 points higher than the FAA average. By the way, the FAA average every single year has gone down. Our average has not changed. It's been 92% every single year that we've taught Part 107. National average is going down every year. It's not good. So
I went through the 107 class here, and one of the things that I really liked to help me was some of the quiz. The quizzes from the quiz bank and the chapter reviews, where it does actually have sectional chart questions.
Yep. And I mean, the sectional chart takes practice. That's what you have to do. But you have to know what to look for first before you go practice. So, and I mean, I've taught this for 22 years now. I've been in CFI for 22 years, 21 years, since 2014. Since 2004. Damn it. Since 2004, been a CFI. And so, yeah. And you get a free shirt if you get over 90%. So, bam. Ed said, what does CBP do with the sequestered drones? Hold them indefinitely in proper storage area? Are they responsible for tracking the location of the sequestered drone? Do we know? I do not know the answer to that. My guess is that they send it back, actually. I don't think they keep it. My guess is they send it back. Some police departments are hiring local pilots to assist sworn officers as pilots or VOs. Yes, they are. Correct. But in some situations, they will not let you do that unless it depends on the department. Jeb says, might be a dumb question, but is there a good mobile version of the ArcGIS Lance map? Unfortunately, no. That map is so data heavy and it's very hard to read on my phone when I'm shooting. That's when you use the Aloft Air Control app. Aloft Air Control is going to essentially give you that that same map, but in a mobile version, so it's a lot easier to load up. But I personally, every time we have to fly somewhere, that's the first thing I do. I go on my laptop, but I'm a laptop guy, and I just open the, UAS facility map, the ArcGIS map, and then I do all my planning there. And if I'm on the fly, then I pull out my phone and I do it, on the phone. But yeah, unfortunately, it's not good on mobile version. So Bill says, "What has a UVSI done? They make themselves sound like advocates." That's right. That's what they do. They trick you into thinking that they're advocating for you when they're advocating for the people that give them money. AUVSI is basically behind the drone ban. There's no other way to say it. They are the ones that want to see DJI gone. Whether they're going to tell you that they don't want an immediate ban, they want a ban in the future, which is total BS, because a ban in the future is still a ban. And then they keep telling you that it's not, DJI is a threat. We're going to wait 5 years, or we're gonna supposedly advocate for a ban in 5 years. If it's a threat today, why are you waiting 5 years to ban it? It's not a threat. It's total BS. And then the other thing too is that they keep saying that they're not for an immediate ban, but every time there's a plan for an immediate ban, they never go and say, "Oh, this is not a good idea." They just don't say anything. So they are going to be the responsible party for the reduction in drone pilots that are going to be flying out there. They are going to be responsible for people losing their businesses. They are going to be responsible for having fewer people interested in aviation, because a lot of people start with UAS, their careers to become airline pilots, and they'll tell you, you can talk to airline pilots, they'll tell you how they got the bug. They got the bug by going to fly a drone, or by going to fly a model aircraft, and DJI is going to be responsible for stopping that. So when flight schools have a harder time to find pilots in the future, they can go say thank you to a UVSI. When you can't find a replacement for your Mavic, for your Air, or for your Mini, because there's no DJI available, you can say thank you to Michael Robbins at AUVSI, who's the CEO of that, I don't even want to call it a company. And so, yeah, that's what they've done. So you can let them know a big thank you for basically destroying what has been built over the last several years. Tracy says, "Now I'm looking to complete ground school and go to private pilot license." Perfect example. There you go. Somebody who started with drones that wants to go and fly airplanes. And we see a lot of these folks that want to do this, which is awesome. This is a bug that I caught when I was younger, and that allowed me to become a pilot and to be here to teach you guys. And yeah, another person here that wants to do this. So congrats. All right. We are 3 minutes away. And let me see. Any other questions? Let me know in the comments. But if we don't have any more, then on Friday, we have news update. For those of you that are new here, we do a news update every Friday. We talk about the current changes to regulation, to anything that happens really in the UAS industry. And then we do that every Friday morning at 6 a.m. our time, 5 a.m. our time, which is 8 a.m. on the East Coast. Okay, VP, one more question, says, does the Mini 4 Pro use the same batteries as the Mini 3 Pro? And the answer is yes, they fit. I think they're slightly different, but the form factor is the same. Yeah. Yeah, the Mini 4 Pro, I think, is slightly lighter battery than the Mini 3, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since we've looked at that. But yeah, they're, for all intents and purposes, they're the same. All right. Well, 4:59, we're going to end it. Thank you for watching. Come back next week. We will be back for another session. And in the meantime, don't be that guy. I don't want to talk about you on Friday news updates. Fly safe, and we'll see you then.